Coronation Street youngster Max Turner has been displaying some concerning behavior of late on the ITV soap, but during Wednesday night's double bill, it seems a clue was dropped he is going to become a killer. Max, played by Paddy Bever, has become more rebellious on Coronation Street over the past few months, with the recast of the character done to develop the youngster's darker side. As spoilers for this week have revealed, the teenager has created a video about the night Johnny Connor, Richard Hawley, and Natasha Blakeman, Rachel Leskovac, died, claiming it all to be part of a bigger conspiracy. With this in mind, and with regards to some of the comments he made in Wednesday night's installment of the ITV soap, he could soon turn into a killer as he takes on more of his father, Callum Logan's, Sean Ward, criminal-like ways. Over the past few weeks, Max has been getting help with his academic studies from summer spellman, Harriet Bibby, and she has encouraged him to explore his passions away from school work. Little does she know what exactly the youngster has been up to at the same time his cousin Sam Blakeman, Jude Riordan, has been struggling to navigate his grief over his mother Natasha's death. During the latest double bill, the two storylines merged as David Platt, Jack P. Shepherd, tried to offer some support to his young nephew who has completely stopped talking. "You all right, mate?" he asked the youngster, and when Sam didn't reply, the soap stalwart added, "Yes, silly question. But, listen. If you ever want to chat or a haircut or a milkshake from Roy's, just look up your cool Uncle David, all right?" Nick Tilsley, Ben Price, thanked his brother for his efforts and explained he, Sam and Leanne Battersby, Jane Dan's son, were moving back into their flat in Victoria Court. This was the same place where the drug lord Harvey Gaskell, Will Mellor, gunned down Natasha in a tragic case of mistaken identity. Making a rather crude comment about what had happened in the flat a couple of weeks ago, Max said, "Is it all cleaned up in there now?" "Well, I've always wondered who cleans up after you know what," he continued, speaking in front of young Sam about his mother's death. "What are you talking about?" a disgusted Nick remarked, with his nephew replying, "I was just asking." Leanne decided to take Sam up to the flat, but Max didn't get away lightly as he was berated for the comments he made. "What were you thinking?" Nick asked him, telling his nephew, "Don't you ever ask questions like that in front of my son again." Max apologized, and when Nick had left to go into the flat, David sarcastically said to his son, "Are you all right? Kid is already traumatized enough, he doesn't need you popping up with your popcorn and your 20 questions, the father of two continued. As Max seemed to have little empathy for what he had just done, he told his father he was just wondering about what happens after a murder. "Well, don't wonder," David hit back, adding, "You should be wondering about what you're having for dinner or if you're ever going to beat me on FIFA. Not stuff like that," he added with a look of disgust on his face before telling his teenage son to get home before he could say anything else untoward. It was up to Nick and Leanne to try and offer some reassurance to Sam, who seemed more distraught than ever over his mother's death. Although this might have seemed like just a teenager saying something he shouldn't, there could be something a lot more sinister happening underneath the surface. With his obsession over death and murder becoming a concern in upcoming episodes, it could be the youngster is turning into a killer. Max could have been analyzing the perfect way to murder someone for months, learning about the best ways to get away with it and how to clean up afterwards. He might not have chosen his victim as of yet, but his murderous instincts could be bubbling away, with his loved ones none the wiser to what he is actually thinking. Callum was always very sinister during his time on the show, and just before his death, he was willing to kill both Kylie Platt, Paula Lane, and Sarah Platt, Tina O'Brien. As Max now becomes much older and more mature, he could become the spitting image of his birth father by taking an interest in the criminal world. But if he does kill a Cobbles resident, will the youngster be found out, or will his research prove to have paid off? It was announced earlier this year Harry McDermott, the original actor who played Max, would be leaving the show after a decade and Paddy would be taking over. A spokesperson for the soap said, "We have all watched Harry grow up alongside Max Turner for the past 11 years and we want to thank him for everything he has brought to the character. It is always a difficult decision to recast a role and we look forward to following Harry's career as he continues with his acting studies and explores other opportunities. We wish him every success for the future," they continued, and a new actor will be taking on the iconic role. But with Paddy's introduction, was it always the master plan to make the sweet and innocent youngster into a conniving killer?